All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Halakah HaKodash. A double honors unto the apostles and elders of the most great millstone, and a sincere Shalom to Yakim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. And you see, this article is from endtimeheadlines.org, right? And it reads, unemployed Americans are applying for hundreds of jobs with no success as unemployment rate surges to 4-year high. And this is the thing, man. These people don't understand that the future isn't going to get any brighter for Babylon the Great, right? They put their hope, their trust in this place, but ultimately, from here on out, it's only going to get worse, man. The woes are going to hit harder, whether that be financial, whether that be physical. We already know that the spiritual woes, are going to be at the height, at the pinnacle. But here it is, the American people aren't able to work, which ultimately means they aren't able to provide for their family. So what? The bills that they would normally pay, whether it be rent, whether it be mortgages, whether it be insurance, whether it be groceries, kids schooling, car notes, so forth and so on, man. All of that is going to be stripped away from the people. And as the quote says, when people have nothing to lose, they lose it. So that's the point at what we're about to see. We're about to see the American population lose their mind due to the fact that Esau is making life harder for them, right? And he's doing it to usher in a new system in which they'll become dependent of, man, right? It's ultimately, as Apostle Gabar always says, it's a trick bag that Esau got these people in, man, right? So let's keep going. It says, frustrated job seekers all over America just got more bad news. The unemployment rate just hit the highest level that we have seen in 4 years. And that is yet another indication that the labor market is getting even tighter, right? If you currently have a job that you highly value, hold on to it, because finding a replacement for that job would not be easy in this very challenging economic environment. In previous articles, I have shared heartbreaking stories from unemployed Americans that have been unable to find work no matter how hard they try. And the scriptures clearly tell you, about this, man. Coming from the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. All right, so let's grab that. Isaiah 14, maybe Isaiah 11, Isaiah 19 and 14, selecting. This is, I'm going to start here. 14, Isaiah 19 and 14, and it reads, the Lord has mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. And it's not as if it's just one, educational, tier that's losing jobs. It's not as if it's just, one group of individuals who can't get employment. No, it's hitting everybody, man. From those who have doctorates to those who have, nursing degrees and certificates to be, and pass tests to become RNs, to those in psychological, in the psychological and sociology fields, to even trades, man. Now we understand there's a bigger market for trades, but even then, people are still losing on all levels, man. So it doesn't matter, right? Here it is. Esau has told majority of their population to go to school and get a degree. But here it is. You go do 4 years of schooling, put yourself in $100K in debt, and you come out and you got to go work at a fast food chain. Or you come out and you got to go work in the, the sales industry on the floor, man. At a Marshall's or Ross or TJ Maxx, right? Not being able to use your degree at all. But that's part of the trap. That was part of the trap, man. Right? So it says, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Here it is, an industry such as shipping, right? Shipping containers and dealing with logistics. We understand that people actually in the career of logistics, planning on which routes will be delivering trade at this location and at this time. The people all the way at the top are making money. But when you take a look at those cargo shipping, ports, hey, they're becoming automated. We seen that earlier this year. So even jobs that have ultimately made America a port or a place of merchandise are failing now, right? And ultimately, the people are mourning. It says, I am going to share more of those stories today. When you are unemployed and month after month goes by without finding a job, it can really do a number on your self-esteem. And this is the thing. You know who's losing it the most? Esau, Edom. Right? Because Jake has stayed in a position of being destitute. You know? Jake has lived off the crumbs since we've gotten in this place. So now that Esau is feeling that squeeze, that fool and his nation, they're jumping out of 6-story buildings. They're ODing on medications, right? They're off in their families because they're starting to use their savings, right? They don't see a future in this place, and ultimately, they're right. The future is grim. It's very dark, right? And it's going to end in fire. Now, this is Isaiah 24, because we understand that in these people's folly, they allow vices to help them get over, the pains, the woes. But ultimately, Yahweh Shemir Shah is taking away that, because he's taking away the ability to buy those vices, right? Now you got a budget to buy a bottle, and that's if you can get one, right? People are getting in more into medical marijuana, so forth. There's been a lot of articles on ultimately people getting sick from taking it, smoking it, right? But people are depressed, so they're trying to find whatever balm they can do, to get out of that rut. But ultimately, you got to wake up out of that mirage. This Isaiah 24:7. It says, the new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth. The joy of the harp ceaseth. They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. And you don't have so many people going to clubs no more, going to parties, forgetting about their sorrows, turning up. That spirit is gone, man. It says they shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. Meaning what? Once, you were taking shots to the kidney, your tequila, as niggas say, Don Julio, right? You was taking shots. But now that same drink is reminding you, that it ain't nothing coming, ain't nothing better coming, man. Right? It says the city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. There's a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. Yeah, that fun that people used to see when they seen Babylon the Great. That whore is looking filthy, man. They don't want to party with her no more. It remind me of just folly. Cat Williams said, he said, if Diddy asks you to party, you gotta tell him no, man. Ultimately, people are saying they can't party here in Babylon no more, man. It says there's a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened, right? That's the estate of man. All joy is becoming darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. Because now you have to come to reality, that you can't provide for your children. You can't provide for yourself. You're going to be homeless, right? You'll have to live out your car until they take away your car. So ultimately, these people are going to do what? They're going to revolt, in the streets, man. They're going to revolt in the streets. And ultimately, it's going to cause turmoil to where Esau is going to tell the military, and these troops, to enact martial law on Americans, right? So this 37-year-old Anna Whitlock thought that it would be relatively easy to find another tech position when she was laid off in November, but nearly a year later, she is still searching for work. Says she was let go from her job in the tech industry. She wasn't worried about lining up a new position. She had 11 years of experience managing roles. That's over it. It's lucky. It says, but even though she has applied for hundreds of positions, her job is going nowhere, and now her unemployment benefits have run out. The more I looked, the more I wasn't getting responses. If I did have an interview, I only made it the first 1 or 2 rounds. Things got really real when my unemployment ran out. Of course it did, because now you're trying to figure out how you're going to get your money. And it's a lot of videos on YouTube, Instagram, all different social media platforms basically stating how women are going back to the ancient career of prostitution, man. They can't take it no more. Their jobs ain't paying enough. Their government benefits have ran out, as the scripture speaks about the teats, right? They shall lament for the teats. In the book of Isaiah, the 32nd chapter, right? All those benefits, right? It's seeping out of their hands, man. So now they're saying, oh, well, we about to go get money by selling our bodies. But what these dummies don't understand is when you inflate a market with a supply, what happens? The price lowers. The more increase of quantity something is in stock, guess what? The price of that goes down. So women thinking they're going to make a bag off of selling butt. Hey, guess what? You going to be charging $20, $30 until men can't afford that. And then there's no more charging, man. Then it's just ruthlessness in the streets, right? It says, the unemployment rate has risen to the highest level that we have seen in more than 4 years. The unemployment rate in November rose to 4.6%, the highest level since September 2021. The November employment report offers a first picture of the labor market after a 6-week blackout and an official data caused by the recent government shutdown. The data suggests that employers and industries ranging from manufacturing to hospitality are hitting the pause button on hiring amid concerns about economic growth and tariff costs, some economists noted. And here in Vegas, they're constantly doing layoffs, right? We have one of the biggest hospitality industries in the world, man, right? And here it is, that fun spirit, coming to Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That shit is going out the window, man. You have hundreds to thousands of people being laid off from these casinos every month, man. Every month. I have family in the industry. They saying how bad it's getting, right? But this just goes to show you, ultimately, Esau is manufacturing and engineering this crash, right? Because he wants you in that destitute position, so that what? So he can give you a solution, right? Or be a God, present himself as a God with a solution to ease all your pain, to make things better for you. And a lot of people are going to receive of it, and accept it because it's like Esau's pimping them, He's taking away all their privileges, all their liberties, and then be like, hey, well, I just bought you this jacket, get back on that street for me, and what are the Americans going to do? They're going to get back on the street for him. He's going to dangle that carrot in front of their face, and they're just going to give in. Because what? They're going to be desperate for anything. He's going to promise them a life, that they once had, and that is going to be hook, line, and sinker, man. Your soul is going now. Now that you gave in into the MOTB. Right? This is Ecclesiastes 12. I'm going to start at the top. It says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun or the light or the moon, or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, right? And the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few. And those that look out of the windows be darkened. Because it's beautiful as well, because when you take a look at history, here it is. You had the time period of the 20s, in which they call it the Roaring 20s, right? Roaring in a sense of, economic prosperity. It was a point in American history where women became more promiscuous. They dressed more provocative. People were living it up in the 20s. That's where that whole Great Gatsby, era was held in. But it was also a term called flappers. And basically, it's speaking of the when women became more hoish, to put it in modern terms, right? But what happened a decade after that? You had the Great Depression in the 1930s. And it's beautiful because that same vibration and spirit was here in Babylon the Great. You know, or I should say before, you know, the 19 dropped, you know, people were in a folly mind state. It was hella partying. You know, women became more whorish, right? Then you had the 19 hit, and it brought people down to their lowest estate. You know, people became depressed. They were locked in their houses. They actually had to care for their children, right? But after they opened it back up, and Jake was still partying even throughout that. But once they opened it back up, people seen it as a sense of relief. You know, I can get my life back. All right, now it's time to you know, actually live again. But what are we heading back into? You know, we're heading back into hell. A time period of great lamentation, mourning, and woe, as the scripture tells us, man. Right? So it's nothing new under the sun. You had your period of prosperity, now here's the mourning. But the scriptures tell you better it is to go into the house of mourning than to the house of feasting. For the living will lay it to his heart, man. And here it is. We've stayed in that house of mourning because we understand nothing good or better is coming to this place. So when it's telling us, and the grinders cease because they are few, right? You take a look at ancient customs. Hey, there were women at the mill, you know, grinding grain every day because the process of creating and making bread, baking bread, was a daily thing, especially in our culture, right? But it says the grinders are few, showing you that the work, you know, was limited, man. And it's not just in the sense of making bread, but it's factory work. We see it in the peak of AI, and this isn't even the peak. So like here, we're just seeing an increase in AI automation, man. Artificial intelligence automation, man. Where guess what? Technology is taking over the jobs of the ordinary person. Hey, you no longer even have cashiers at McDonald's, fast food restaurants, man. So it's letting you know that the lower class jobs are being taken, right? You going to work and having, you know, 2-3 jobs is very rare, man. You know, you have one job, it's you know, a privilege. It also sucks because, you know, you still got to work. But nevertheless, if you're able to still, you know, feed and get a check, then hey, call on Yahweh Shema Shai, man. But this is what we're seeing. We're seeing jobs who have been the backbone of America been stripped away from its people. You know, you see areas like the Montanas, you know, certain areas in the Midwest, you know, who've had coal mining jobs, you know, who've had all these different oil rigging jobs, who are now just without work, farming industry, destitute. Hey, the highest rate of suicides are amongst farmers, right? It says, and they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened. Hey, they don't see a future in this place, man. Right? It's full of doom and gloom. It says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. There it is. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low, man. Here it is. We're at a point where everybody about to feel it. Even us. You know, we understand that the jobs in which Yahweh Shema Shai gave us, hey, he gave us those positions in order to, you know, continue in the sense until he takes them away. And we understand we're going to have to give them up. Hence the persecution, you know, so we're going to be fired and so forth and so on, man. But it is what it is, right? It says businesses are not hiring as they adjust to tariffs, right? Here it is that the middle class businesses were taken out because they were considered non-essential workers. So you had, you know, however big that middle class was, lower to high middle class, they were essentially wiped out and brought to the lower class because their families couldn't handle, you know, not having their businesses open, you know, and collecting revenue for 6 months, right? But what happened? You got companies like Walmart, Target, Trader Joe's, Best Buy, Costco, right? Sam's Club, all these different monopolies became trillion or quadrillion dollar companies, right? It says businesses are not hiring as they adjust to tariffs, uncertain conditions, and what? And AI. There it is. The result is about 700,000 more unemployed Americans than there were a year ago. In 2021, we're still recovering from the massive spike of unemployment that we experienced during the initial stages of the what? Of the 19. It says, what excuse do we have now? The U.S. economy is now in a jobs recession. The nation has added a mere 100,000 in the past 6 months. The bulk of those jobs were in healthcare, an industry that is almost always hiring due to America's aging population. It takes approximately 150,000 new jobs a month just to keep up with population growth. So over a 6-month period, the U.S. economy must produce 900,000 new jobs just to keep up with population growth, which it ain't about to happen. Now, you see during the season of like now, the holiday season, quote unquote, you have temporary work that be able to be established. But once that season is done, it's over. What are you going to do from January to, October, man? Or January to September? Right? So the dollar is running thin. People's patience is wearing thin. And ultimately, Yahweh Shema Shai is about to bring, chaos upon this earth. It's Haggai 1:6. It says, ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye have not enough. It's like it. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. But ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it in a bag with holes. And there it is. Your pockets are running thin, man. Right? Not being able to provide. So what's going to happen? Let's go into the book of 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter. The 2nd Esdras 15 and 14, it says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. It's going to get to the point where, it's going to be chaos or purge-like scenarios here in America, man. Right? Because people are hungry, their kids are going to be sick. They themselves are going to be sick. Right? And America is per capita is the largest country with the most guns. It says, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. It says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right? They're looking at their local politicians, governors, senators, and are asking questions as to like, wait, what's going on, man? Why aren't we producing any more jobs in our city? Why are these government benefits being shut off? So they're going to look at their government officials as targets, right? Especially Esau Edom, because how he get down, he don't care, man. He'll go into and look up the addresses of their politicians' houses, man. He's done it before. When you take a look at the reports of the politicians being targeted, it's typically an Edomite that's doing it, man. Right? As you've seen certain governors and had pig's blood with words on their fences, had pigs' heads delivered unto their houses, so forth and so on, man. But this is what we're coming down to. It says, a man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be destroyed. It's like it. For because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. Why? It says, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And it only takes a few meals before people start to kill, man. Right? So this is where we're at. And from here on out, 2026 is about to be a very popping year as far as prophecy, man. So continue to watch, continue to pray, because it's about to get ugly. But it is what it is. We're in the hedge of Yahweh Shema Shai. We just pray and hope, that the Lord allows us to continue and ultimately be of that number. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the body. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakah HaKodash. A double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone. And a sincere shalom to Yakim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. Shalom.